The world's biggest company insuring people who export goods said today it was no longer covering anyone who wants to send stuff to Greece. Nothing will change before the election there on June the 17th, and the latest opinion polls show the biggest parties in favour and against the bailout are at absolutely level pegging, which is no help to anyone, really. In the meantime, there's talk of power cuts because there's no money to pay energy suppliers. So the rest of the Eurozone now contemplates something we were being told was inconceivable recently, that like a bad kebab, Greece is vomited out of the single European currency. Here's Paul Mason. Now, what happened today, Paul?
Just before that, clearly Greece exits. It's going to be awful, at least in the extremely high unemployment from Greek economies in a crisis, and the Greek people are going through a lot. And
just Papa Konstantinou, why is leaving the euro a bad idea from the Greek perspective?
Well, first of all, can I take issue with your bad kebab analogy, which I find offensive? The Greek economy is in a crisis, and the Greek people are going through a lot, and they deserve some respect. And I really did not find that very appropriate. Coming to your question,
by all means,
leaving the euro would lead to a reduction with GDP falling by over 20%. It would double today's extremely high unemployment from 20% to over 30, 40%. It would lead to a halving of living standards and to widespread poverty. So today's situation is very difficult and very bad, but leaving the euro would lead the economy back to the 50s and 60s, and that's not something that we want to live through.
I would actually support. I think that was actually quite inappropriate to say that the Greeks have done something terribly wrong. They made errors, but the trouble and the reason it's going to be awful. If Greece exits, it's going to be awful, at least in the short run. The trouble is that the situation for Greece is hopeless, and I mean that in a quite literal sense. Under the euro, there is nothing on the horizon to suggest any recovery ever. We're looking at extremely high unemployment, extremely being shut out of the capital markets as far as the eye can see. And while an exit would be terrible, there would be, you can see how a recovery could happen afterwards. And I understand that nobody wants to bite that bullet. Nobody